When people hear about a scientific discovery, they will naturally assume this must be a result of a well-planned and well-executed research. Now, although it's kind of in my interest to keep it that way, the truth is that this unrealistic view makes science seem inaccessible. So in this talk, I'm going to try to give you a little more realistic view of how the sausages are made. For instance, I have recently conducted a survey of the public conception of scientific conduct. Well, not exactly. I just asked ChatGPT to generate an image of a biomedical research lab, and ta-da! Fancy, isn't it? Can you see how everything is exactly in place? Spotless? You can actually eat off the floor. This is not a science lab. This is science fiction. You want to see a real lab? This is how my lab looks like on a good day. Now, why is this happening? Whenever we take a picture for a press release, we will clean the entire lab up. We will put on the nice, white, shiny, clean lab coat, the one we never actually use. We do the same when we communicate our discoveries. We will always have the tendency to describe the process as, there was a problem, I had a brilliant idea, it worked. After all, I am a well-planned scientist. Did you see that movie Oppenheimer about the physicist who developed the nuclear bomb? Can you imagine any of these guys ever being wrong? Do they make mistakes? Did they ever do something really stupid? I mean, after watching that movie, who in his right mind can picture themselves standing there between Albert Einstein and Niels Bohr and saying, Albert, I think you got it wrong. No way. Everything about how science is conveyed on movies is meant on purpose to make science seem inaccessible. Luckily, I am here today to tell you how I, by pure mistake, led to one of my most significant and important scientific contributions. FYI, you will not find this in the paper. So hi, I'm Hemi Rotenberg, and I'm an assistant professor of biomedical engineering at the Technion. We develop technologies and materials to electrically stimulate tissues inside the body. But to make this minimally invasive and cool, we want to do it leadless. So we develop optoelectronic materials, which are basically a soft solar panel, but instead of harvesting energy, they electrify the tissue. So imagine having a heart pacer or a brain modulator that can be wirelessly activated using light. During my postdoc, we were trying to make our responses of the optoelectronic devices be better. But to be honest, we weren't really getting to the point where we can actually pace a heart. The final step of fabricating these devices is by dipping them. You need to lift off the fragile device by dipping it in hydrofluoric acid. Now, if hydrofluoric acid sounds familiar, it is probably thanks to one of the most prominent chemists of the modern era, Walter White, from the Netflix crime series Breaking Bad, where he and his ex-failing dropout high school student, Jesse Pinkman, were cooking meth in the basement. When you're in the meth cooking business, every now and then, you have to get rid of a body. It's just how science goes. So how does a chemist get rid of a body? Exactly. Hydrofluoric acid. It's one of the nastiest materials you can think of, and it dissolves almost anything, but plastics and Teflon. This is where Jesse Pinkman tried to get rid of a body, but learned the hard way that bathtubs aren't made of Teflon. Well, after all, Jesse Pinkman wasn't exactly a well-planned scientist. So, one morning I took my devices out of the hydrofluoric acid, measured the photo responses, and boom. After 3 years of incremental improvement of 10% here, 20% there, it was suddenly 100 times higher. I put it on a rat's heart, pulsed light, and it worked. The heart is pacing. I put it on a nerve, the leg started twitching. It was so amazing that with all the excitement, I didn't even realize I had no idea why this worked. It made no sense. I did this in the past. Nothing happened. No worries. I got this. I repeated the experiment step by step by step, and nothing. Didn't work. I did it again and again, optimizing every freaking thing I could think of. The temperature, the relative humidity in the lab that day, the ambient light level. I was clueless. I kid you not, at some point I was trying to figure out which shirt I was wearing that day. Think about it. After blabbering about the amazing new material I have developed to my mentor, my colleagues, to anyone who accidentally made eye contact, I couldn't reproduce it. It took months, not days. This made me look really bad. When we finally figured it out, we discovered that I am no better than Jesse Pinkman. When working with hydrofluoric acid, you must work with Teflon tweezers. But since real lab don't look like the AI-generated ones, I couldn't find the Teflon tweezers because someone misplaced them. Probably me. So I just grabbed a random tweezers, dipped it in the acid. It's just for 2 seconds. What can possibly go wrong? Well, the acid attacked the metal. Tiny amounts of iron ions were dissolved in the solution. Iron, in an acidic environment, can oxidize silicon, and hydrofluoric acid etches silicon oxide. When you leave that in the lab for overnight, it generates this nanoporous layer on the surface of the silicon, which generates these beautiful rainbow colors you see, but also generates the best performing optoelectronic material that we have ever developed. And we only discovered it because I followed the footsteps of Jesse Pinkman, scientist and entrepreneur. Now, why am I telling you this? It's not like I'm advocating for misplacing tweezers or ignoring safety procedures. No, I'm telling you this because I want you to understand that science is often an unpredictable, chaotic, and messy process. Some of the most important discoveries were discovered by sheer coincidence. Coincidence aren't enough. 1,000 scientists before Alexander Fleming was even born had their bacteria contaminated with fungi. But only he noticed on the way to the trash bin that no bacteria were growing around the fungi and discovered antibiotics. I'm telling you this to get rid of the paralyzing feeling you might get when watching movies like Oppenheimer. It's a great movie, don't get me wrong, but I'm afraid it makes science look a little bit inaccessible if you don't happen to be a dude with 180 IQ. So the next time you get that paralyzing feeling about science, I want you to remember how Jesse Pinkman and I have discovered a totally new optoelectronic material. Science is often frustrating, confusing, and messy. But if you're willing to stay curious, take risks, and embrace failure, come join us. Thank you.